All right. We have arrived, ladies and gentlemen, at the final tier list of the day. Legendary tier. So we're going to start off strong with the Montana. Now, I know people only say she only has 16-inch guns, but she has a great broadside. Now, yes, I know she technically has one more turret than Iowa, but, I mean, she has a larger HP pool, and she's still pretty maneuverable. Yeah, she has a raised citadel. Yeah, her armor belts, it's better, but in all honesty, not that much. But I mean, she has a fast acting heal, and it's an improved heal. It's not super heal, but it's an improved heal. So that's nice, and it reloads fast. So that's pretty good. Hold on, Choki. I ain't done. I ain't. Just let me get there. Let me get there first. But yeah, Monty. She's very accurate. She's very good at blapping broadsides. Yeah, all of them are F because they're all fair. Now, but let's be honest. So, in all honesty, I feel like Monty at the moment is a B because, hear me out. What can she do that any of these battleships can't? Like, if she tries to HE spam against Bowen targets, Conqueror just does that better. If she tries to brawl, well, she has relatively the same armament as GK. GK can either have 12x406 or 12x420. So she has relatively the same armament as GK with basically slightly better accuracy, of course. And Yami overmatches, Monty doesn't. She can overmatch cruisers, tier 7 cruisers, but she can't overmatch like the bows of battleships. So Monty is strong at blapping broadsides. And she works really well on a flank. But at the end of the day, those are things that any of these battleships could also do. She's still very strong, but I think at the moment, Monty is a B tier. A high B, low A. High B, low A. Yeah, high B, low A. Worchester. This thing gets shit on so hard. She has an insanely good AP DPM, insanely good AA, pretty decent HE DPM, great utility. She only has a 9-kilometer radar for some reason instead of a 10, but it's fine. But Worcester just, oh my god, horrible firing angles. No, actually, I think she's a B tier. Because that DPM is pretty nice. That AP DPM is really nice. It really can shred things. And the AA is really good. But man, oh man, when caught broadside trying to bring all guns to bear, if she overangles, she's going to eat citadels. So you cannot play this thing in the open water unless a flank has been secured. So, quintessential island spammer. Great with DPM support. That's really about it. Exactly. When Colbert here, wherever it is, when Colbert here comes out, Worcester's just going to go down the drain. Alaska, S tier. That they overbuffed it. We all know this. No, shush. They buffed it because it's perfect, because it's a tier 9 in legendary tier. So I think it's fun. Alaska needed that buff. Yeah, in all honesty, it was a little excessive, but I think it was needed. And it is probably now the strongest super cruiser at this tier. Stalingrad is very strong, but I mean, Alaska is much better equipped to deal with destroyers. Exactly. Exactly, Choki. Yeah, Alaska, great radar, hydro, and improved pen angle, super heavy AP. You have HE as well, so you can actually in-cap destroyer things more efficiently. And you can set fires on battleships, so you're more effective against bow-in targets. So, Alaska is easily S tier. Easily. Gearing, I feel like Gearing's another S tier. Because Gearing has enough DPM to set fires. She has a long smoke screen so she can always hide. She can spot for herself. She has long torps. She has long torps. Yes, they reload in 2 minutes, but they go 16 kilometers. And they have a fairly decent damage. They're not Shimakaze nuclear torpedoes, but they're fairly decent. And her guns, like I said, they're really good in taking on other destroyers in gunfights. You want to be careful of Kabas and Kleber's with reload booster, but against the Kaba, just shoot AP against his broadside, you'll win. Against the Kleber, just make sure you have all 6 guns on and you dodge his torps if he tries to. Try to dodge his shells as well. But yeah, Gearing is the best destroyer for one-on-one engagements because it has the fastest DPM of, well, some of the fastest DPM of all the destroyers. Kaba is going to be better in a straight-up gunfight unless he overangles and you get to use AP. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to if you can hit your torpedoes or not, but I mean, this is pretty easy. Well, that's a known fact. Everybody knows that Gearing is thick. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Don't even pretend that nobody else knows that. Gearing is a thick boy. But I think out of all the destroyers, it comes down to Kaba and Gearing at the end of the day. I'm gonna put it in that long smoke is nice. It has 2-minute reload on its torps, but I mean they go 16 kilometers. Really good DPM on its guns. It's got decent enough maneuverability. I'm putting it in S for right now. Exactly. It's one of the best ships at the tier for guns, especially against other DDs. Conqueror, we all know, it's the best legendary ship in the game. It's the best legendary tier battleship in the game currently. Because it can set fire to everything. That short fuse 419 millimeter guns can absolutely blap broadsides. And, with your HE, you can just absolutely nuke destroyers from 12 kilometers. And you can set double or triple fires on battleships. Now, yes, you have slow turret traverse, but you have super heal, so HE spam's kind of pointless. Just be careful when you manage your damage control party and your super heal, so always keep that in mind, especially if you're running Azure Nelson. But yeah, I mean, just you're caught broadside, you get Citadel, but I mean, the same thing happens with Monty and Yama. GK occasionally, but normally just with Yama and Monty as well. So it's not like it's just the only ship that gets Citadel one turn broadside. But just the sheer bullshitness of the HE and how strong her AP is, plus with her super heal, it's just a great combination, and she's in a very good place right now. She's very strong. Minotaur, Mino's an A, because she is a stronger DPM cruiser than Worcester is when it comes to AP. Of course, she doesn't have HE, but she is much better equipped to deal with DD. She has better concealment. She can obviously choose radar. So islands are your best friend. She has smoke so she can disappear. She has hydro so she can see torps coming. And she has 10-kilometer torps. So she has torpedoes. And she has better concealment. That's almost automatically making her better than Worcester. But she also has better maneuverability, or arguably better maneuverability, better speed. You just have to worry about deceleration and acceleration. Trying to slow down to get into your smoke screen, that's probably your most vulnerable time if you have already not slowed down enough. But when it comes to dealing with DDs or just farming AP on broadsides, Mino is just better because it has a faster reload and it has better DPM when it comes to AP. Now, at the end of the day, you just have to know how to position yourself correctly, not eat torpedoes in your smoke screen, not get radioed and dev struck by anything on the map, and not play too aggressive. And yeah, Mino is very strong, but I don't think she's overpowered as some of these guys up here. Alright, after playing Colbert a few times, at the moment, I'd say she's better than Worcester, but not by a lot. Because this ship is even more of a floating citadel. Well, she's almost as much of a floating citadel as Mino is. Because basically, anywhere from the bulkhead by the forecastle all the way back to the support forecastle, it's all citadel. You can citadel with basically any gun. Any destroyer that fires AP at it will be able to citadel Colbert at like 9 kilometers. Now, yes, you're taking a dangerous game by open water gunboating against a Colbert, but I mean, it's still pretty easy to citadel. And she only has 36,000 health. Yeah, she's not really a great support ship. She's great at DPM. Absolutely insane DPM cruiser. Holy shitballs. This thing is, it just shits out shells. But it's not a great team support ship. She can easily, like every single time I played the game, I could get like 180k. I could get with her Confederate high cal, but it wasn't like I was carrying the team because I was just setting fires on 2 battleships that were willing each other. Or like I'd kill 1 destroyer. Like I didn't have higher than a 3 kill game in like 20 games. Now I'm still playing well. I'm still getting like above like 90k average damage, at least. But it's a very strong DPM cruiser, and that's really about it. It's got heal, it's got speed boost, so that's really good for open water stuff. It has 32mm plating for some godforsaken reason. I don't know why on earth they gave it 32mm bow and stern. But yeah, it just... I'd honestly argue, DPM-wise, Colbert is better than Worcester. But for solo carry-wise, I think Worcester is better than Colbert. Because of the utility that this ship has to counter destroyers. Colbert, A tier. Yes, the nerf that it got neutered this ship. It did neuter it. It very much did. But the fact that you can still go 56, 57, almost 60 knots in this thing is absolutely dumb while having an under 5 kilometer concealment with go all out. It's absolutely dumb. Plus the fact that you have a reload booster. It's just, this thing is the epitome of zoom zoom, you go boom. It still is probably it still is one of the strongest ships at legendary tier. The nerf did hurt it. What wargaming needs to do, and if anybody at Wargaming for Legends ever, like, I don't know why they would, but if they ever watch this video, they need to understand this. Nerf Kleber's torpedo reload. Like, I don't add another 30 seconds, add another minute, I don't care. But give it another reload booster. Make it like more of a gunboat. And people will enjoy it more. And not try to play it like a Shima. That just can go even faster. Because Kleber with an extra reload booster, I know it's not the Marceau, which is the more gunboat of the two, but I mean, only having that one reload booster kind of hurts it because it only has that one engagement where its guns can actually pump out the DPM it needs to win a fight. Because if you get caught full health by a gearing that's also full health, and you don't have a reload booster for some reason, you're going to lose the fight. Or if you just don't pop your reload booster. Unless you can hit your 12s, you're going to lose the fight because the gearing just out DPMs you. So, nerf Kleber's torpedo reload, give it another reload booster, and I think it'll be better. GK. Man, I want to put GK higher because it has the highest HP pool. It has great secondaries, pretty decent armor. It's one of the few ships that can really effectively bow tank Yama because of the way that the armor scheme's set up. Like, yeah, there's still parts of the bow that can be overmatched, but it can bounce Yama shells relatively easily when it's bow tanking. But, I mean, you have better firing angles towards the rear. You have great secondaries, but I mean, you have to push into their range to effectively use them. Really, their effective range is like 8 kilometers, even with like a 10 kilometer build. So you kind of need to push in and take a lot of damage just to even start using your secondaries. But really, the best way to play GK is just concealment and tank. You snipe, and then you push in at the end. Don't just push in like a madman off the rip. You don't have torpedoes. You're not going to be going anywhere fast. You're one of the slowest ships in the. Well, you're the biggest ship in the game. You're also one of the technical slowest. So you're a pretty easy target to farm for damage, especially if you give too much broadside. But very powerful broadside. It is the strongest in the game because 12x 420 is stronger than 12x 406. So whatever you shoot at, it's gonna feel it. Even if you overpen it, you'll still hit them for like 7 or 8 overpens, and they're going to feel that. Exactly, Yamato can only match the strip between the bow plates, but it still is possible. Yeah, GK can effectively bow tank Yama, which is kind of huge in the game where the Yama overmatches everything, including itself. Yamato, I still think it's S tier. We all know the shell grouping nerf kind of neutered it, but I mean, the ability to still just overmatch everything in the game is just absolutely broken. Like, nothing else can compare to this. Like, you can't even say Georgia, because Georgia can only deal with cruisers, but I mean, every battleship with 16-inch guns can overmatch every cruiser except Edinburgh. And even battleships with 15s can still overmatch some of the cruisers at tier 7, because some of them have 25mm bows. So Yama's ability to overmatch every ship in the game and just punch them for like 10 to 14k through their nose, if not scoring a citadel, is just absolutely broken. But yeah, we all know that shell grouping nerf neutered the ship. So what Wargaming needs to do again, if Wargaming is listening, nerf the reload and maybe the turret traverse. Those two. Give it its old accuracy back. Give it the railguns we all know and love. And nerf the reload to like 30 seconds. Because Yama reloading in like 26 seconds is kind of dumb. I think it's kind of dumb. I think we all know it's kind of dumb. We all like it, but I think we all know it's kind of dumb deep down. Shimakaze. Shima is still... It's still up there. It's still A tier. The fact that it can just shit out 15 torpedoes that do 24k damage, like 3 torpedoes can sink a Yama, like and get a dev strike ribbon, but like potentially even 2 if they don't hit torpedo protection. It's absolutely broken. Like, yes, a Shima in a gunfight is gonna lose, but I mean, why even push close enough to use your guns in a Shima when you can just torpedo battleships from 10, 11 kilometers away? And even in a gunfight, you're going to have a hard time, but your guns are pretty decent. They're just basically better Kagero guns. They have the high alpha damage of the Japanese destroyers. And you're going to be retreating most of the time. You're not going to be pushing into a destroyer in a Shima. That's kind of suicidal. That's on them. I know, but still in the Rico, that's still 46k. That's still half of a Yamato's hit points from 2 torpedo hits. If, like, that's without torpedo protection adding in. Yeah. So Shima, in terms of destroyers, is definitely on the bottom, but Shima, in terms of legendary tier as a whole, is still an A, because of just how strong it is. Kaba, it's another ship that's in A. Very good in open water. This thing is probably the best fire starter in the game, because Conqueror, it's always like the guaranteed one fire with a full salvo, but like Kaba just keeps on shooting and shooting and shooting, and it's got the dumb 14 to 16% fire chance on its shells, so you can just constantly set battleships on fire, and you have enough speed to dodge their return fire, including with speed boost, and you get access to heal, and you have a 50mm armor plate, which does arm shells from battleships and cruisers and destroyers from time. Well, it definitely arms destroyers AP, some cruisers AP, and some battleship AP from time to time. So you do have to be careful. Well, Well, yes, Noriko, that is true. That is true. But I mean, still. But Kaba is hard because it's going to be outspotted. Anyone who is outspotting a Kaba, the best counter is to just torpedo it and run away. Because a Kaba wants to take a gunfight. It wants to open up on your destroyer because it's got that DPM to deal with you. What it doesn't have, though, is great maneuverability. It's got a pretty decent rudder shift time, but it's got a pretty large turning circle, especially for a destroyer. So if you just stay dark, launch your torpedoes, predict where he's going to go, and then just disengage or stay far enough away so that you're not spotted, but keep him spotted for your teammates to shoot, you can take him down fairly easily. But Kaba is very strong, very high on the DPM list. Also, don't be afraid to load AP more in Kaba because it does have cruiser guns, and it can Citadel many of these Lakers like Worcester, Colbert, and Mino at decent ranges. And by decent, I mean like 9, 10, 11 kilometers away. But yeah, just Kaba's very strong, but it's not the strongest. And last but not least, the Stalingrad. Need I say more? As I'm letting personal bias take over, I love my Alaska, but Stalingrad, you are king. Just the ability and consistency. The rarest thing we have in this game is consistency. And yes, you have that volley every once in a while with Stalin, where RNG says fuck you, and your shells go as wide as the Red Sea. They just part like the Red Sea. But Stalingrad is the most consistently accurate ship, or like decently accurate ship in the game. And the fact that it can consistently punish broadsides is something that not a lot of ships can lay claim to. Well, I mean, it is weak when it comes to countering destroyers. In high destroyer games, Stalin will falter, Stalin will have a rough time. And also, a mispositioned Stalingrad is probably one of the easiest kills known to mankind. Because as it says in the ship's description, it has a high HP pool for its ship type, but it doesn't really have as good an armor scheme for its type. Because it's literally, it's got the icebreaker bow, it's got the 32mm upper nose, but then the entire broadside is basically Citadel. It's pretty easy to Citadel. So if you see a Stalin broadside, just load that AP and just watch the magic happen. Watch the fireworks fly. And yeah, like it has short fuse AP with improved pen angles, so you can Citadel battleships and cruisers that, well, if they overangle a little bit, you do have to be careful against heavily angled targets though. But even then, just aim for their turrets. Stalin can pen Yamas. I remember Tier 7 Hipper did a video once, and he was talking about AP pen. And I think he said that, like, the Stalin can pen Yama's belt, which is 460 millimeters. Or it's either 406 or 460 at, like, 19 kilometers, I believe. So, at closer ranges, it can pen the turret face of Yama, which means it can pen the turret faces of U.S. battleships, German battleships, Russian battleships, French battleships. It can wreck turrets. Yeah, it's a great ship. It's consistent. You just if for solo carry potential, that is probably one of the few genuine Kraken printers out there on the seas. Alaska is one of them too, but I mean, Stalin, it just the consistency can't be matched. You can name a ship and then you can just easily just see the difference. Because like I said, RNG will occasionally troll you, but like 9 volleys out of 10, you're gonna have really tight shell grouping, and you're just gonna slap a target for like 10 to 15k, if not getting double or triple citadels. Well, of course, like yeah, and there we go. We do have to understand that this is a video game. Armor in real life, like the way that the armor works in this game, is going to be completely different than how it works in real life. Like I'm fairly certain that if Montana or if Iowa hit Yami bow on, I'm pretty sure, like if her shells hit her armor or hit her bow armor at a certain angle, that would be a bounce in our game. It probably wouldn't have bounced in real life, but that's because there's things in real life that the video game can't really compensate. That the video game can't compensate for, but that's what they do with RNG by just having the shells miss. Yeah, that's it for Legendary tier. We have the 2 Super Cruisers, Stalin and Alaska, Geary, Conqueror, and Yama in S tier. Then we have Mino, Faber, Kaba, and Shima in A tier. Then GK, Monty, Worcester, and Colbert in B tier. Colbert would be higher, but it's still relatively new, and like I said, it's subject to change because I don't think they're gonna keep it with a 32mm balancer. That just sounds absolutely cancerous. It just sounds like, I mean, yeah, if it turns broadside, it gets blapped, but I mean, it shouldn't be allowed to bow tank everything known to mankind. Oh my god. I'm not doing carriers. Carriers can all rot in hell for all I care. I love carriers and all, playing them. I love messing with destroyers and their 4-kilometer concealment builds, but I'm not going to take the time to rate them. I will say this though. If you are looking to play a carrier branch, play the United States. It is the most forgiving branch, and it really teaches you the basics and the default strats of how to play in CVs. Once you master the US, go on to the Germans, because then you'll love their AP bombs and their faster planes. That's all I'm going to say about CVs. So yeah, that's it for Legendary tier tech trees, and I will see y'all in a year when I do all these videos again. So if you agree with my ratings, let me know in the comments down below. If you don't, just shoot. I won't be mad. Just tell me I'm wrong, and then we can have a discussion. So make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.